Hello, trading is closed on June 28th, 2019. We'll go over our calls. We said it would be easier for me to explain the current pattern if we gapped up over these highs, which we did. Look for the pattern with the early low and the late high. I said that unless you had a sharp drop in the first hour or two, tended to rarely hit the high of the day in the last hour of trading, which we did. At a target we overlooked before, 29.50.66. It didn't print in regular trading hours, but it did print in futures. It's not enough to cross it off the list, but it is enough to offer resistance. And the rule is when you rally in a straight line to resistance, but not through it, you either gap over resistance when the market reopens or the resistance wins. Here was an ultimate sell signal. We got the minimum. Almost always we get more than that pretty soon. So almost always we're going to undercut this low pretty soon. MEJT said this drop was false, the price would retrace, which they did. Monday's pattern is the one with the early low. Doesn't mean you won't gap up first. With 5 minutes left to trade, this was a very negative pattern. We gapped up, hit a higher high, and at that point, if that were the close, it wouldn't have closed over either of them. That means you either gap over these highs when the market reopens or lower prices print. Well, what's the difference if you go over the highs now or you go over them when the market reopens? Difference is somebody's going long on Monday morning. It's because he thought about it all over the weekend. He probably intends to hold the stock for some time. When you get a wall like this into the close, which continues 10 handles higher after the close, tends not to be reasonable purchases. It tends to be panic covering of shorts. Certainly it's not the way professionals trade. Professionals, market makers have to take the other side of the trade when people say, get me long at any price. And when the professionals are taking the other side of the trade, they usually arrange things to get their money back and a lot more pretty fast. If that interpretation is right, we're going to gap down Monday under this low and probably under this one. Now there's this meeting with President Trump and Xi, I guess, on the weekend. I don't know what's going to happen. If they reach an accord, all this analysis is going to be worthless. It will probably go up. But this is a pretty bleak picture to me because unless we gap up, this calls for a strong move down at Monday's open, retracing all of this, at least going under this. And don't forget, here's a hole in the wall gap. These things tend to fill pretty quickly, tend to fill often quickly, which means we could go under this low as well. It's not the only bad news. Here's our daily chart, ROC, PPO, or secondary indicators. We've broken out to a new high, but this hasn't while we're going up here. PPO, which is like MEJT, is falling. It shows the move is doomed. Doesn't mean it has to fail Monday, but this whole thing was overlapping, and overlapping moves retrace. Here's the count. I think this is a candidate for the end of Blue B. I was certainly expecting higher prices than this, but all the fibs work at these prices. If you look at the move in Blue B, you get an ABC with good fib ratios. And if you look at these last two moves, everything works. You get your 5 waves down with any diagonal triangle. Targets to hit this, so you overcame the target. Almost a 61.8% retracement. Here's your A, B, C, and all the fibs work. So it's a candidate for a top. So we have to qualify this by saying if we gap sharply higher, all bets are off. And we also said that we can't predict what'll happen with President Trump's meeting. But this is a perfect picture for a false move, panic buying by amateurs, wall into the close, strong tendency. We gap down under this low, probably under this one, and target support under this low when the market reopens next week. If the idea is wrong, it should be clear before the open, but there's a good chance it's right, and that's today's call.